You may think that the Restrict Act is just about banning TikTok, but if it passes, it gives the Secretary of Commerce broad power to pass any rule that she deems appropriate for a huge array of activities that you and I both engage in. I'm very concerned that the Restrict Act gives the US government massive police power with no citizen accountability, just like some other countries that you may have heard of. So let's talk about how all Americans are at risk of going to prison, whether or not you use TikTok, Facebook, or a VPN. Maybe I'm the only person in the United States who's never used TikTok. Frankly, I think it is a Chinese weapon that's designed to dumb us down and simultaneously feed data back to the Chinese government about how Americans think and behave. And if the government here wants to ban TikTok, they should do it. Pass a law that bans TikTok, that says TikTok is banned. But don't pass a law like the Restrict Act that doesn't even once mention TikTok and instead gives sweeping power to unelected bureaucrats to put people like you and me in jail. The Restrict Act lets this lady make rules that we have to follow. If we don't follow them, we're subject to fines, asset forfeiture, of course, and imprisonment. Did you vote for her during the last election? Can you vote her out during the next election? Nope. She's an unelected bureaucrat. Sure, you can sue her in federal court, but you'll have to do it in the liberal bastion that is the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Good luck there. And you'll win against her made-up rules only if you can prove that they violate some provision of the Constitution or other clear statutory rights. But how is it that you can get thrown in jail for using something like TikTok or Facebook? I'm glad you asked, because I read the bill. That's what us lawyers do. The bill says, the Secretary is authorized to and shall take action to identify, deter, disrupt, prevent, prohibit, investigate, or otherwise mitigate, including by negotiating, entering into, or imposing and enforcing any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person, if that transaction poses an undue or unacceptable risk to the national security of the United States or the safety of United States person. This bill is about empowering the Secretary of Commerce to identify and to prevent digital threats against the safety of anyone in the United States. If the Secretary needs to identify digital threats that may be happening in the United States or coming across our borders, it stands to reason that she probably needs to monitor all the traffic that's going around the internet and networks here in these United States. And this is where people rightfully say that VPNs are at risk. The penalties section penalizes, among other things, many other things, no person may engage in any transaction or take any other action with intent to evade the provisions of this act, or any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorization or directive issued thereunder. Let's say you do some important confidential work from home, and you don't want a bored teenage hacker next door snooping on your internet traffic. So you use a VPN to protect your privacy and maybe that of your clients. Well, that action of using a VPN so your internet traffic is private sure seems like it could be intended to evade rules issued by the Secretary of Commerce to determine what technologies you're using on your computer. You see how simple VPN could be interpreted as a violation of the Restrict Act. Now, you may not use a VPN. You may not even know what a VPN is. And you may not be doing business with the listed foreign adversaries, such as China, Russia, or Iran. But what about the multinational companies that you do patronize? For example, Amazon does ample business in and with China, as we all know. What if the Secretary of Commerce wants to ensure that Amazon is not doing illicit activities with our foreign adversary over in China, and so Amazon is required to turn over all sorts of customer data to the Secretary of Commerce? Your data is now in the hands of a lady you've never even seen before. And the punishment for violating any rule made by the unelected Secretary of Commerce can be extreme. The Secretary may impose the following civil penalties on a person for each violation by that person of this act or any regulation, order, direction, mitigation measure, prohibition, or other authorization issued under this act. 1. A fine of not more than $250,000. A person who willfully commits an unlawful act shall upon conviction be fined not more than $1 million, or if a natural person may be imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. And don't forget forfeiting your assets to good old Uncle Sam, because he needs more assets. Any property, real or personal, tangible or intangible, used or intended to be used in any manner to commit or facilitate a violation or attempted violation shall be subject to forfeiture to the United States. The Restrict Act isn't just about TikTok. It could affect all Americans who use the internet or frankly any digital device, including even just a high schooler doing a paper about ancient Chinese culture. But don't worry, this is a bipartisan bill. It has support from both Democrats and Republicans who all want to take away our liberties. What could possibly go wrong? To find out more about protecting yourself from the police tracking you, check out this next video. I'll see you over there. And remember, don't talk to the police.